Tonight on CBC Vancouver News, the outlook not so great for Canada's economy. Ottawa's plan to steer the affordability ship back on course.
Thousands upon thousands upon thousands of new homes.
Will it work?
They recognize the scale of this problem is enormous. It's historic.
The BC government has some concerns.
People are struggling for housing right now, and we need those dollars right now.
For recent buyers preparing to renew their mortgages, higher interest rates mean heftier monthly payments.
I'm the sole income earner in my family, so that definitely puts some stress.
Oh, and don't forget about inflation, how people are making ends meet.
We're spending a lot of money on eating out, so we've decided to cut back on that.
We explore all the layers, digging many into an affordability hole they don't know how they're going to climb out of. We begin with significant developing news out of the Middle East tonight. You are looking at a live shot of Surrey, Israel, just along the border with Gaza. With word a deal has been reached between Israel and Hamas for a temporary pause in fighting to free dozens of hostages held by Hamas in exchange for the release of Palestinian-Israeli prisoners. This agreement comes after relentless pressure inside Israel by family members of those hostages who've been held captive for more than 6 weeks. Now 50 of them are expected to be freed in the coming days, all women and children. But when it comes to the conflict, Israel's prime minister remains unwavered, saying this war is not over. The CBC's Briar Stewart is in Jerusalem with our top story tonight.
After meeting for more than 5 hours, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's cabinet approved this deal. Now, this deal stipulates that 50 hostages, all women and children, will be released over a 4-day period during a break in fighting. Now, for every 10 hostages that are released above that 50, there will be an extra day of pause. In exchange, Israel will release 150 Palestinians, women and minors who are imprisoned in this country. And the government has to publish a list of all of those names online. And they have to give the public 24 hours to petition the court if they don't want to see any of these individuals released. Because of that and the timeline and other logistics, it's very unlikely that we'll see hostages released before Thursday. Now, Hamas has put out a statement saying that as part of this deal, there will be hundreds of more aid trucks that will go into Gaza, including fuel. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, in his statement, has thanked U.S. President Joe Biden for his help on improving this deal and helping for an increase in hostages that will likely be released. There's a lot of things to watch. Obviously, this is a deal on paper. Executing it is a much different thing. And you have Israel's government talking about all the steps they're taking now to try to help these hostages, these women and children, once they do come out and return to Israel. I mean, you have to remember, you have very young children, infants in some cases, people who have witnessed horrific violence being kept, potentially underground for the last several weeks. They're going to have health issues, certainly mental health issues, and they will need a lot of support going forward.
The CBC's Briar Stewart reporting from Israel tonight. You can get the latest on this developing story at cbc.ca/news. Well, back in this country, the feds have unveiled their latest blueprint for the Canadian economy. Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland delivered the fall economic statement in the House of Commons today. The government is attempting quite the fiscal juggling act, trying to balance programs to build more homes, make life more affordable, and bring down inflation. The CBC's Rafi Boudjikanian begins our coverage on this story from Ottawa.
Chrystia Freeland is trying to tackle affordability issues while keeping an eye on the bottom line. Beneath that tightrope, a worsening economy ahead.
Our economic plan is focused on building an economy that works for everyone, with good jobs that people can count on.
The new spending outlined today is modest, $21 billion over 6 years, most of it aimed at housing and previously announced programs such as heat pumps and the removal of the GST for rental construction units. It is a sign the government doesn't want to add to the inflationary fire.
I am today announcing new measures through our economic plan to build thousands upon thousands upon thousands of new homes across the country.
There's a $15 billion loan program starting in 2025 to kickstart construction of new rental housing units. And the government also intends to cut down on red tape, allowing construction workers to move across the country more easily to build these new homes.
They recognize the scale of this problem is enormous, it's historic.
But for this observer of the economy, these are measures that will barely start addressing the housing shortage in the country.
This is not something that's going to get solved in this fiscal update or even in the next budget. We'll be talking about this in the next election and probably the next election after that.
An issue for the official opposition for months, engaging again today as the ink was still drying on the economic statement.
It now takes 25 years to save up for a down payment in Toronto. You used to pay off a mortgage in that time. Since this Prime Minister has taken office, families have stretched out the terms of their mortgages to 90 years.
Affordability is likely to be on Canadians' minds next time they're at the ballot box as they weigh how well the government has balanced spending with restraint in the middle of global uncertainty. Rafi Boudjikanian, CBC News, Ottawa.
The BC government and some housing advocates here are frustrated over how long it'll take for that much-needed money to get out the door. The CBC's Lindsay Duncombe continues our coverage with a closer look at that angle.
Early in the day, organizers at this Vancouver conference for nonprofit housing were optimistic about what the government would announce.
It's very, very welcome news. It's something we've been advocating for. We've got hundreds of shovel-ready projects where the zoning is in place, permitting is in place. What they're lacking is the finance.
But then came the details, specifically that $15 billion in loan funding for rental housing would not be available until 2025-2026. Same timeline for the $1 billion for purpose-built community housing. The CEO of the BC Nonprofit Housing Association called me back to make sure I knew how disappointed she was. A sentiment echoed by the provincial housing minister.
I'm a little concerned that the money is out to 2025 and 2026. People are struggling for housing right now, and we need those dollars right now.
The problem is when interest rates went up, some rental housing projects were stalled or shelved. The cash promised today likely won't mean move-in ready homes until at least 2030, says the BC Nonprofit Housing Association. And there's no guarantee builders will take the government up on its offer.
So you can provide low-cost loans, but if the private sector looks at market conditions or is looking at the economics of their projects and it still doesn't work, even with low-cost loans, they're not going to build.
This researcher is glad to hear the government talk about housing, but
we don't think that the gravity of the housing crisis is reflected in the announcements that were made today.
And the thing about waiting so long for cash to start flowing is a lot can change in a couple of years, including governments. Long-term promises may not survive an election. Lindsay Duncombe, CBC News, Vancouver.
Canada's new housing policies come at a time when recent buyers are preparing to renew their mortgages, and higher interest rates mean heftier monthly payments for many who are already stretched thin. Our John Hernandez is hearing mounting anxieties from some homeowners heading into the new year.
Bikramdeep Singh knows there's some tough times ahead.
Probably have to cut down on going out for dinners or taking out every now and then with family.
He bought his new Westminster townhome in 2019 when interest rates were lower, but he's up for mortgage renewal next year and facing a much higher rate.
So that's going to be bringing my payments 30 to 40% up. So that's going to be a significant chunk of money that I'll be spending every month. So that is going to affect definitely my lifestyle. So I'm going to have to make some adjustments.
I think part of me is just wanting to not really have to think about it until crunch time, only because it's rather daunting.
Perhaps an even bigger struggle for Kevin Larkin. His mortgage for his Surrey condo is up for renewal come January.
You know, I've just been running the numbers, and I don't see how I'm going to be able to renew and afford this. And it's unfortunate because you know, I'm a professional. I work. I'm trying to support a family.
Some brokers say it's likely to be a tough year ahead, with interest rates expected to hold firm for at least the first half of the year.
There's going to be a lot of individuals who will feel this pain. Unfortunately, foreclosures are something that we don't like to talk about. We don't want to see, but a lot of people are struggling.
But there is some relief for Canadians. Ottawa announced the removal of the 2% mortgage stress test for renewals.
They're almost going to qualify at close to a similar rate that they may have already qualified in the past, because that stress test, that 2% is not there. So that's going to save a lot of people.
Other supports include extended amortization periods and waived fees for delayed payments.
Is it going to have an effect for my particular situation? I don't know. But again, any kind of sign is a good sign.
I would hope that it will be accompanied by cut in rate of interest, like sooner rather than later.
Yeah. Cautious optimism during a time of growing financial uncertainty. John Hernandez, CBC News, New Westminster.
Canada's inflation rate dipped again in October. The consumer price index came in at 3.1%. That's down from 3.8% in September. The slowdown was led by gasoline prices, which were down an average of 6 cents a litre in October. Increases in grocery prices have also slowed, but still came in at more than 5%. Rents rose more than 8% in October compared to 7% the month before, and mortgage interest costs are up more than 30% compared to a year ago. Expensive housing and food prices continue to be top of mind, yes, especially here in BC, where that affordability crunch is squeezing many. Our Mira Baines is finding out how people in this province are dealing with the continual high costs given this grim economic outlook.
As inflation drops further, housing and food prices continue to be a heavy burden, especially in BC, which has some of the highest housing costs in the country.
I've been trying really hard to go to the grocery store and make our own food. So we're doing that, and then hopefully we can save some money and have a 2-bedroom at some point. We're in a 1-bedroom right now with our baby. She lives in the closet.
This is my kind of first year living on my own finally, and getting used to all of that is crazy in of itself, right? So with the rising costs of everything, I find myself, it's sad to say, not eating as much.
We'd love to buy a house one day. That's not a feasible thing in our future, and I think even just going to the grocery store, we're having to be very selective about what grocery stores we go to, because some of them, you notice it when you get to the till, you just can't afford it.
Higher interest rates have worked to push the rate of inflation lower. It was down in October compared to September, but food prices are slow to budge. Inflation isn't expected to slow to a targeted 2% until 2025. Still, some economists are hopeful that Canada can avoid recession.
Well, I think we will evade an actual recession or a technical recession, meaning the economy doesn't outright shrink. But a lot of this is going to be a reflection of the fact that the population growth has been so strong.
The BC government says federal investment in affordable housing can't come fast enough and is looking for more details about $15 billion promised for rental housing loans.
All we know is that's $15 billion. Again, positive step, but we're going to have to get into a room with them and talk to them about making sure British Columbia gets our share.
Still, the overall Canadian economy is defined by weakness, and it will be months before people feel less pressure on their finances. Mira Baines, CBC News, Vancouver.
In other news today, charges have been laid in the stabbing death of a teen outside a Surrey high school a year ago. An 18-year-old was picking up his younger siblings from Nanaimo Secondary School when a fight broke out. That's when a 17-year-old allegedly stabbed him, and he later died. The suspect has now been charged with second-degree murder.
This was a tragic incident, and I can understand how for families this would be really hard for them. Mr. Sethi was a young man, 18 years old, just starting his life. He aspired to be in the army, to serve his country, and his life was taken far too early.
Homicide investigators say the suspect and the victim knew each other. They also assured the public this was an isolated case with no ongoing threat to the community. Well, to the Okanagan now, and in Penticton tonight, residents of more than 24 homes have been ordered to evacuate because of the risk of a rock slide.
As we speak, there's a local state of emergency being announced, and we will have
that'll allow us to put the services into place that we can put those services in immediately.
25 properties at the Pleasant Valley Mobile Home Park fall under the evacuation order. A local state of emergency has been declared while geotechnical engineers assess the danger. The mayor says the evacuation order is a precautionary measure. The local emergency operations center has also been activated so that residents have a place to go. The city says it'll have an update tomorrow afternoon. Well, to the island, and it wasn't the usual start to the day for some people in Victoria. This cougar was spotted near downtown around 5 o'clock this morning. It prompted police to warn people over loudspeakers to stay inside their homes. Officers say it appears to be a fully grown cougar, and later today the police provided an update saying they wound up killing the cougar after it was spotted a second time. They say the risk to public safety was simply too high. And Meghan Markle, Duchess of Sussex, stopped by a Vancouver NGO today that's dedicated to lifting young girls out of poverty. Justice for Girls has been around since 1999, advocating for social, economic, and environmental justice for girls who live in poverty. The Duchess visited the group 2 years ago, and they say since then she's kept in touch. Organizers say she met privately with 2 teen interns this week who were able to discuss their own struggles for justice. Markle has been involved with a number of women's groups since before she became a royal. Still ahead, a Chinatown mall has made amends with local seniors. We'll explain what's going on there coming up and the update as well. Stay with us. Welcome back, and thank you for staying with us during our commercial-free live stream. Nanaimo is bringing back its Public Safety Committee. The city used to have one, but it was disbanded 5 years ago. Now with public safety front and center, a new one is being created. As Claire Palmer explains, it's meant to be a place for residents to voice their safety concerns.
Nanaimo had a public safety committee until 2018 when it was dissolved. Now the city says making residents feel safe is a top priority, so it's forming a new one and looking for volunteers to help staff it.
I think the safety committee needs to be squarely focused at making sure that they're holding the provincial and federal government accountable for what the province and federal government say that they can do.
It will be made up of 2 town councillors and 7 citizens. They'll be tasked with looking at safety through a wide lens, from neighborhoods and businesses to mischief and graffiti. Mayor Leonard Krogh says there are genuine issues that need to be addressed and new concerns that arise quickly. Everyone from families at home to our vulnerable and unhoused population need to feel safe. Public safety has been a growing concern here in recent years, and the city's move is sitting well with people we spoke with.
It is good news, and I'm just hoping that something will come of it, that it won't be just a lot of talk and a lot of investigating and then nothing done.
I think it's a good initiative. Hopefully they actually listen to the feedback they're getting and come up with some possibilities of addressing some of the issues that are raised.
Well, I think it's good. I think everything's good that they bring back. I think that more public input is needed.
The committee will put forward recommendations to council on community safety concerns.
I hope that this kind of committee can kind of reignite or strengthen the community conversation around what it means to have a safe city.
Committee members will work with RCMP, bylaw officers, and emergency responders, as well as the public. Claire Palmer, CBC News, Nanaimo.
Welcome back. The 4th annual Indigenous Fashion Week is underway at the Queen Elizabeth Theatre. The show started off last night with a red dress event held in honor of missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. Over the course of this week, 32 different Indigenous fashion designers will be featured, along with 50 vendors at an artisan market. Well, the doors are back open to seniors at a Vancouver mall, hoping to use that space for exercise. As Michelle Gomez explains, with new rules, the city-owned mall is trying to turn over a new leaf with the elderly in the community.
We're here at the Chinatown Plaza Mall, where local seniors gather twice a week to practice Tai Chi. It's a Chinese martial art that involves slow and careful physical movement. Six months ago, the group was kicked out of the city-owned mall during one of its sessions. Organizers claimed mall staff attempted to physically stop the seniors' movements and made culturally insensitive comments. The city of Vancouver apologized at the time for the way the incident was handled. The group has since worked with the city to get permission to use the space and resumed their sessions in the mall a few weeks ago.
It's really important to find an indoor community space for the community members to activate. Senior can actually come to practice those stretches, Tai Chi moves to, it benefits their physical condition, their health, and also it's a good opportunity for them to social with their, their new friend, meet new friends, and also, chat with their old friends. And because a lot of seniors, they are isolated seniors, living by themselves.
The bi-weekly meetups draw around 50 seniors between the ages of 70 and 96. For Betty, the exercise has improved her physical health and it gives her a chance to get out and socialize.
It seems that it's been helping my health a lot, especially mental health as well. I'm a single mother, and so it's been a huge impact on my life. And since I've been coming here to work out, it really helps my well-being in general.
The city of Vancouver said use of the space is beneficial to both the community and retail shops in the plaza, and it intends to increase access for community events in the future. Michelle Gomez, CBC News, Vancouver.
Well, the Rolling Stones have announced their upcoming 2024 North American tour, and Vancouver is the only Canadian stop. The band is rolling into BC Place on July 5th. Tickets go on sale December 1st. They last played in Vancouver in 2006. They were supposed to perform in May of 2020, but that show was canceled thanks to the pandemic. You're looking at a live shot of downtown Vancouver towards the North Shore, and parts of the north are getting hit with some wintry weather, but southern BC is largely dry and sunny. 5-day forecast is next.
Strong words for a woman Lucy Latino is meeting for the first time.
I can't believe, and I've said this before, there's angels in heaven. I'm lucky, mine walks on earth.
She's talking about Claire Juracek, who today is donating her kidney to save Latino's life.
It's been extremely hard. I've gone through a lot in 3 years. But I always say, I'm a warrior.
Latino's kidneys started to fail 3 years ago.
When I first got my line in,
Dialysis helps keep her alive. Here she is with her daughter Danielle getting her final treatment last night.
There's such a need for organ donors.
Latino's daughter played a huge role in finding a living donor. She launched a campaign called Lucy Needs a Kidney. They searched online and at times in person.
I need a kidney too.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I'm on dialysis.
This is Latino's husband Charlie last year at Yonge Dundas Square.
And I tell him, you do whatever you can do.
All of that work finally paid off.
I always known that I wanted to be an organ donor.
In 2022, Juracek, who frequently donates blood and posts about it online, got a reaction.
So she had simply gone and cheered my story, like just given it like a clap emoji because Blood Services had reshared it and she saw it.
Right.
And then of course the Instagram account is called Lucy Needs a Kidney. So as soon as I saw the cheer and I took a look at their account, I just messaged her back and I said, hey, I'm the right blood type for your mom. Like, why don't I get the paperwork and start seeing if I'm a match?
The odds of Lucy finding a living donor match were long. According to Trillium Gift of Life Network, there are nearly 1,200 Ontarians waiting for an organ, most in need of a kidney. She's also in the longest queue line regarding blood type.
It's more tricky to find the exact match, so the O blood type recipients cannot take any other blood types. It's amazing that people are doing this, donating organs for other people. It's really the core of being human and trying to save other people's lives.
And that is the core of Claire and the Latinos' relationship going forward.
My mom getting her transplant is not the end of Lucy Needs a Kidney and my work in this organ donation advocacy space. I imagine that might be something Claire wants to do too. And I think together we can really raise some good awareness and get people to consider living donation.
As for Lucy Latino, once recovered,
I'm just going to sit back and enjoy the view.
And then?
And then I would like to go to Italy because I've never been.
Dale Manukdak, CBC News, Toronto.
Hi, I'm Amy Bell, and here's what's in your CBC Vancouver inbox. On December 1st, join us for CBC British Columbia's annual Food Bank Day for a special day of broadcasts. The event is a yearly tradition for many, and we're bringing you a new edition of CBC's Food Bank Day that you can watch and stream live on CBC Gem and cbc.ca/BC. Make the season kind and donate at cbc.ca/foodbankday.
The weather update is brought to you by Direct Buy Furnace. To cool and clean the air in your home, call Direct Buy Furnace. Installing Train, the most reliable heating and cooling brand.
And Darius Madavi is here with a look at the forecast. And Darius, not a very typical November-looking forecast, it sounds like.
No, we've got plenty of sun ahead. Our rain has passed the lower mainland now. We were seeing rain up until a couple hours ago, but now we just got a bit of cloud. Even that clearing out soon. The only precipitation left is along the BC-Alberta border over the next 24 hours or so. And then we start to see clearing across the southern parts of BC as we have a ridge of high pressure build in that should even make its way up north for the most part. See some cloud come in and out, especially over central BC over the next few days. But for the most part, we're looking pretty sunny. A few scattered showers popping up over the north coast as well. But here, if you look at our accumulation, just a bit of snow falling on the mountain peaks here, a little bit of rain in other places, especially at lower elevations. But in the Okanagan, maybe tonight into tomorrow morning, early afternoon, we see a little bit of snow even or some rainfall. But it's not a very exciting weather story, to be totally honest with you. If we take a look at temperatures, we do see them start to come down in the south over the next couple days. Here on the coast, just a degree or two, but much more significant for places like Kelowna and Kamloops, where temperatures come down 5 to 10 degrees or so compared to the highs that we're going to see tomorrow, and we did see today. And then if we take a look at our conditions tomorrow across the province, we see plenty of sunshine across the south and throughout most of the province. Even here where we're seeing that snow or rain possible, we're going to see that clear up into the afternoon for what should be at least a little bit of sunshine before the sun sets, as early as it does now. And then even here, there's some scattered showers for the most part, especially inland. We should see some sunshine as well, a little bit if you're by the water. If we take a look here in Vancouver, we can see plenty of sun ahead, a little bit of cloud tomorrow, but even there, it's just a mix of sun and cloud. Should be plenty of sunshine still poking through, and some periods where we have completely blue skies possibly. And then, yeah, lots of sunshine, temperatures around seasonal, maybe just sticking around there. And so even our lows not looking too chilly. So it should be a pretty nice one if you're commuting in and out of the office.
All those times they blame the weatherman, we'll give you the credit this time around. Thanks, Darius.
Thank you, Tanya.
And that is your late news for this Tuesday, November 21st. For news anytime, anywhere, download the free CBC News app. You can always find us online as well at cbc.ca/BC. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great night.